part, I'm going to show you all about Futopia, and at the end of this video, I would like you to just play around with it for a little bit. So you can stop this video along the way and sort of play around with it, or just wait till the end. Photopea is a web-based program. It does pretty much anything that Photoshop will. There are some downsides to it, one of which is this tiny little screen area that you have to work on if you're going to be doing this on your Chromebook. And there's these ads that you really can't get rid of. I know that you can probably sign up for an account and pay for one. I haven't ever looked into that, and my students didn't do that last year either, because we started out the year on this, and it worked out just fine for everyone. When we're working in Photopea, you are going to save everything as a PSD, which is a Photoshop document. Photopea made some updates, so when you save, you can actually save, if you're on your Chromebook, directly into specific folders, which is great because you're going to be turning this in from your Dropboxes, so you're going to want to save your projects there. Photoshop, or Photopea, is a layer-based program. It means that you work in layers. So every time you do something new, it creates a new layer, sort of like drawing a picture and then adding layers of tracing paper and adding additional things to a drawing. Instead of only on one page, you're just adding different layers through stacking up like tracing papers. Okay, so let's look down the left-hand side here. First of all, you've got this big long toolbar here, and you can see all these different tools as I slide down over top of them and highlight them. At the very tippy top, File, Edit, Image, Layer, Select, so on and so forth, is your main menu. And each one of those has a number of submenus underneath of it. Every time there is a little arrow, that means that there's other things that are embedded in there. Some of them have much more large choices than others. So, Toolbar, Main Menu, and then below that is a submenu. The sub-menu has to do with the toolbar. So watch as I click down these different tools, watch this sub-menu here. So I'm going to click on each one of these tools, and you'll notice that the sub-menu changes. Sometimes it changes a lot, sometimes it just changes a little. But for every single tool, each tool has its own menu. Not only that, as you'll notice that there's other tools that are sort of in there as well. So as I click on these tools, there's more than one tool on each of them. So the toolbar is actually loaded with tons of different tools in there. Your most important tool, the one that you're going to have to always remember to go back to, is your Move tool. So if I'm using a particular tool like the text tool in typing and I'm finished with it, it's very important that I remember to go back to the Move tool. I can click on it if I want to, or I can just hit V on my keyboard. And some of these have shortcuts, so when you hover over top of them, you can see that there's a shortcut. I don't remember all of the shortcuts. I just know that V on my keyboard is that Move tool. I don't know why they chose V. So when I am on another tool and I hit the letter V, it goes right back to that Move tool. Okay, so toolbar, toolbar menu or submenu, and the main menu. On the right-hand side of your screen, you will see that there is some other menus over here. We're going to be using the layer menu. These menus right here are expandable and contractible. The downside to having them expanded is then you have this really teeny tiny workspace, so you can hide that. You can also hide this one, but layers are pretty important to what you're doing, so if it's in your way for a little bit, you can hide it. Just remember that you might want to have to pop that back out again. We'll talk about some of these tools later on. You will also be using these menu tools down here at the bottom, the EFF menu, which stands for effects. There is a couple other ones. I'm not going to get into it right now, but we will be using this panel down here. To open up something, you can do File Open, and it would find images in your Google Drive. It would open up your Google Drive, and you can work from there. Or you can choose New. And I do want to show you that because it does have quite a few templates and things which I would like you to actually play around with when you get the opportunity to do so, just so you can sort of see what happens. You don't have to save anything in here. But all new projects in here will default to pixels. So you're going to have to remember to change that. So you can see right away that it's got like some social things that are pre-constrained sizes in here. If I were to change it to inches, it doesn't change this at all. Anyway, I would like you to just pick one of these. I just want to pick one so I can show you an example of the different layers. So I'm going to choose this one right here. I saw the sign and opened up my mind. So here's some layers, again, because it's a layer thing. So there's these little eyeballs in front of here. And if I want to hide something on my image, I can click on those eyeballs and hide it. It's kind of a nice feature to have. If I wanted to try, say I wanted to see what this sign looked like with a number of different fonts on it. Well, maybe I could make multiple layers with those on, and then I can just sort of toggle them off and on, and I can see what it looks like with different types of fonts. You'll notice too that there is a ruler that's up here. It opened up, I believe when I opened up this document, your ruler, to turn your ruler off and on is Control R, R for ruler. You will want it to be on when you are working in Photoshop or Photopea, and you also want it set to inches. So if yours doesn't look like 0 through 17 or whatever, you want to make sure that it's set to inches, and to do that you've got to right click in there. If you don't have a mouse, you just press 2 fingers simultaneously on your trackpad, and you'll notice that that's just like right clicking. I would highly suggest that you get yourself a mouse though. They're pretty cheap. Walmart or Target or Staples will have them for, I don't know, $8-15, somewhere in there. So there you go. Now some of these, let's see what they've got here. Okay, they had these different confetti borders in here. You can sort of dig in there if you want to see what's in there. You don't have to use this template, but you can play around with this stuff. And I certainly encourage you to do that. So I can click through these eyes and you can see that they're starting to disappear because I've turned off the eyeballs. Likewise, let me turn everything back on here. You can shuffle things around. So if I wanted to move these words, I don't know, behind the whole thing, like I put my words at the bottom, are they gone? No, it's still there, and it's against this, basically this translucent background here. So go ahead and play around in here. Just as a real quick recap, you've got your layers down here. And there's all sorts of different things that you can do with them. If I wanted to, for instance, say I want to put a stroke around that word, like that's what the FX menu is. So you can play around with this. There, I put a red stroke around it. I can double click and change the color of that. You don't have to do all of these things. I'm just showing what can be done in here. Remember the move tool. See what happens when you take things and you start moving them around. What happens when you turn off and on the layers. When you're finished, File, you want to always, when you're finished in here, save as PSD. That's super important. Please don't ever be working in this program and then walk away from it. If you think you're going to go walk away from this, make sure that you always do save as PSD. You're going to save yourself a lot of heartache. This is a new feature this year that it allows you to save right here, and you can sort of navigate specifically to your folders. So this is my Dropbox. I can go right into my Dropbox. I can save it right to the folder that I want it to be in. Please do that, because it is a web-based program. If you were to lose internet connectivity at any point in time working on this, or if you walked away from it and somebody shut this down, like if I turn this tab off, I've lost all my work. So please make sure that you save a copy of things when you're done. And that's about it. This is just your workspace. I'm going to actually give you a small activity to do in here in our next assignment.